Hi everybody, my name is Madie and welcome back to our Pacific Tiger Broadcasting series, Bookmarked, where I help you find your next new favorite dystopia novel. Today we're going to be talking about the 2014 novel, Dorothy Must Die from Danielle Paige. And so this book, if it could be described in 2 words, it would be hidden gem. This book is both dystopian and fantasy, but when I tell you, it is amazing. It is a spin-off of the Wizard of Oz series through the eyes of a teenage girl. And as always, we will be breaking it down into 4 different sections. We'll be talking about the setting, then we'll be talking about the characters, which I love this main character, I have to say, she is so realistic. And then we'll also be talking about the content, where we break down the plot of the story and I give my opinions on it. And finally, we'll be talking about some connections, referencing some other books that you may have liked. That may mean that you may also love Dorothy Must Die. Okay, on to the setting. So, as I said before, this book and series is a spin-off of The Wizard of Oz. So, naturally, the book has to start in Kansas. I believe it takes place in the 2000s, so it's a very relatable beginning. However, the book quickly enters the Wizard of Oz world. And so this Wizard of Oz world is not probably what you're picturing. It's run down, it's scary, and most of all, it is run by a dictator who is Dorothy. She is the self-proclaimed ruler, and let me tell you, she has an attitude. And if you're needing some help visualizing what this might look like, here are some pictures to help you. There's this one, which I think captures the atmosphere pretty well. There's also this one, and there's this one too. Okay, on to the characters. So as I said before, the book begins in Kansas, but we end up in the Wizard of Oz world. So how do we get there? Well, the book follows a young high schooler named Amy Gum, who attends a high school in Kansas. And at high school, she's relentlessly bullied. She hates it there. They bully her for her snarky attitude, for her demeanor, for her confidence even. And at home, she has to live with a substance-abusing mother. So this main character is going through a lot. She does not have good cards dealt to her. But however, she is so relatable and so funny. And I love the fact that the book starts out completely normal, as if you're just living her life with her. Like, it's such an inconspicuous opening. But ultimately, one night, after Amy's mother goes out to party and leaves her in the trailer alone, Amy actually gets sucked up into a tornado and transported to the land of Oz. So we get to see a funny, relatable, humorous, tenacious, teenage female character in the universe of the Wizard of Oz. But the universe is upside down. And if you're wondering what our main character Amy might look like, this is a really cool fan art picture that shows Amy and the other main characters. Now let's talk about the content. And oh boy, does this story have a lot to cover. So, after the tornado, Amy is dropped down into the middle of a canyon in the Wizard of Oz universe. So she's alone. She's frightened. And then a mysterious boy named Pete appears and tells her that she must go to the Emerald City. So now Amy is like, where am I? But luckily, she's accompanied by her mother's pet rat Star and a goth punk rock munchkin who comes to help her named Indigo. So as you can see, this story is exciting. So as Amy and the munchkin Indigo begin to walk towards the Emerald City, Amy is realizing that everything looks a little bit off. It's desolate, it's broke down, it's not colorful, it's very scary. And that's when Indigo tells her that Oz is actually overrun by Dorothy, who is the self-proclaimed princess and power-hungry dictator who is running Oz into the ground. But then they come across something else, which is a crucified wingless monkey who used to be one of Dorothy's servants, and his name's Ollie, and he's super friendly, and he starts telling them about what a horrible person Dorothy is. And just then, they come across the Tin Man. But it's also probably not what you're thinking, because the Tin Man is Dorothy's guard. It's her guard and her knight in charge. So what he does is he arrests Amy and then kills Indigo. So the book is not off to the most happy start, let's just say. But it certainly is interesting. So after the Tin Man arrests her, he takes her to the Emerald City, and Amy is imprisoned. This is where she meets the mysterious boy, Pete again, who helped her in the beginning, and he claims to be a gardener for the palace, but tells her that he'll be able to help. So, on the night before Amy's execution, because of course, if Dorothy sees another pretty girl in the city, she's gonna want to kill her. But the night before execution, another mysterious person turns up to help Amy, whose name is Mombi. So Mombi is a member of this organization called the Revolutionary Order of the Wicked, whose goal is to free Oz from the control of Dorothy. And so this rebel group is made up of a ton of other characters from the Wizard of Oz universe, one of them being like Glinda's sister, Glamora, so super fun. But they rescue Amy and recruit her to train magic, because Amy is unique, since she is the only other person besides Dorothy who has actually come to Oz from the real world, our world. And so the rest of the novel follows Amy as she is trained by this rebel organization in order to learn how to wield magic and ultimately kill Dorothy. But one thing that I find so interesting is that every single original character from The Wizard of Oz is in this book, but most of them have turned very, very evil. And let's just say this author is very creative, and this book is actually really scary. But ultimately, if you decide to read it, I am sure you'll probably finish it in a single night or like 2 days. It is just so chaotic, but so, so fun. And so the climax of the story is that Amy is disguised as a waitress in order to serve at Dorothy's very large gala, obviously celebrating herself since she's a princess. But up until this point in time, Amy has tried to kill basically all of Dorothy's henchmen. So like the Cowardly Lion, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and it has not been working. So Amy decides to go for the biggest target herself, Dorothy. So at this gala, Amy actually attacks Dorothy and they end up falling over a balcony together. Again, so chaotic. Like you literally think the book's about to end because they're both about to die. But then Amy is actually saved by another strange man who just returned to town. And who could that be? Well, it's the wizard. It is literally the Wizard of Oz who saves Amy because he returns and he realizes that Dorothy has run Oz into the ground. So when Amy is saved by the wizard, he tells her he has a foolproof way to stop Dorothy. And that is that Amy needs to bring him the brain, heart, and courage from Dorothy's henchmen, aka kill them, in order to stop Dorothy. So Amy has a whole other large task in front of her, and this is where the rest of the series picks up. But right before the book ends, of course, Amy is introduced to her love interest, whose name's Nox, and he's sort of like a warlock magic wielder who will help her throughout the rest of the series. But ultimately, I absolutely love how this author builds tension. Like the atmosphere, the setting plays such a crucial role in upping the stakes, and I think it's fantastic how quickly and immediately you're drawn to the story. Because a lot of us know and love The Wizard of Oz, so it's fascinating when everything we know is turned on its head and made into a really, really scary version. The one thing that I wish the author did differently for this book was actually introduce the love interest Nox a little bit earlier, just because I ended up really liking their dynamic in the later books in the series. However, I wish there was just a little bit more of it in the beginning, especially for people who appreciate like the romance aspect of a novel. So I would rate this book a 9.5 out of 10. It is one of my all-time favorites, and again, it is such a hidden gem. It quite literally is a perfect dystopia novel. Like the tension, the atmosphere, the sense of oppression, the constant chaos, it is just so enthralling. Like I absolutely had so much fun reading it the first time that I wish I could go back and read it again from the beginning. Actually, that's probably what I'll do later this weekend. Okay, on to connections. So, if you like the series The Lunar Chronicles, which is basically a bunch of twisted Disney princess stories, you will probably love Dorothy Must Die. For the second connection, if you like the series Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, which features a fractured government with a lot of different powerful, scary characters, you'll probably also really like this book. And then the third and final connection is if you liked the Selection series, which deals with royalty, oppression, power dynamics, you should definitely check out Dorothy Must Die. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Bookmarked, and I really hope you give this book a chance.